Have you ever had a student tell you that cut and pot rhyme? Well, I did just last week. And today, as we take a close look at kindergarten standard FPA1, we'll clear up some misconceptions about rhyming word instruction. Plus, I'll share some tips and tricks for this standard. Welcome to the Standard Starter Kit. To meet this standard, students are expected to identify pairs of rhyming words and produce words that rhyme. Now let's make sure that we're all on the same page about the terminology in the standard. The standards glossary explains that rhyming words have the same ending sound. This is a common way of explaining rhyming words, but it can lead to some confusion, like when my student told me that cut and pot rhyme because they sound alike at the end. Well, they do share the t sound at the end, but they don't rhyme. So I usually explain that rhyming words sound alike in the middle and at the end, like hot and pot. And while we're on terminology, let's look at the word rhyme, R-I-M-E. R-I-M-E is not a word in this standard, but it is still good to understand the difference between rhyme and rhyme. Words that rhyme have the same sound, like loan and bone, but words that R-I-M-E rhyme share the same letters and the same sound, like cone and bone. So, where does rhyming fit into literacy instruction? At one time, rhyming was considered something that students should master before learning to read. But this quote by Louisa Moats reminds us that rhyming is just one part of building phonological awareness. Research shows that rhyming is a predictor, not a prerequisite to reading success. In your Rhyming Resource Hub, I've linked a blog post by Dr. Timothy Shanahan that answers the question, is rhyming ability important to reading? He echoes Moats in saying that blending and segmenting phonemes is most important. So work on rhyming with your students, but don't wait until students are expert rhymers to move forward. When students can hear and say rhyming words, it helps them build the skills that are needed to meet the expectations in the standard. I wrote this little song that has students sing and say a set of rhyming words. I'm using a list of words that I have, but use any list of words that go along with whatever reading program that you're using. Let's sing. Let's say some rhyming words. Let's say some rhyming words. Rat, hat, fat, mat. These are rhyming words. You may want to introduce a puppet, like my rhyming rhino, who will sing the rhyming words in his rhyming rhino voice. Students will always listen to a puppet, even if it sounds suspiciously like their teacher. Another great way to build rhyming skills is reading rhyming books out loud. There are so many great rhyming books that your students will love. I put a list of a few of my favorites in the Resource Hub, but here's a recent favorite, Bing Bang Chug a Beat by the late, great Bill Martin Jr. The words in this book can be sung to the tune of This Old Man. This old car, it is blue, yellow, red, and purple too, with a bing bang chug a beat bouncing here and there. This old car goes everywhere. At the end of the book, we realize that the car is actually a toy. What a great time to bring out the toy vehicles in your classroom and take them for a spin. Let's not forget about nursery rhymes. In your Resource Hub, I have a link to a set of reproducible nursery rhymes made available by the State Library of Louisiana. There are 27 pages of nursery rhymes that can be copied, colored, and sent home for rhyming fun. Thank you for joining me for the rhyming edition of the Standard Starter Kit. Look for a link to my Rhyming Resource Hub and make plans to join me again soon. Thanks for watching.